Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Hi. Wow. All these people come in early morning on Saturday, which is normally a sleep-in day, to listen to me talk to Yuna and Nicol. Welcome. So this is the fifth of our Hello Zafigo online conversations. Started, of course, during the COVID, but it's been so great that we'll probably carry on because this is a fun way to do things. And you don't know that I'm wearing jeans underneath, so that's great. So today we have two of Malaysia's brightest stars. We have two young women who have really scaled the heights, traveled far to make a name for themselves on the international stage, and succeeded in doing it. And I know you all are excited to listen to them today, and so are we. I mean, I'm excited. Two celebs that we have here. So let me get right down to it. Firstly, we have all the way from Colombia. Would you believe Colombia in Latin America? Nicol and David.
Hi, Marina. Hi, Yuna.
Hi, Nicol. And,
Hi, everybody.
And Nicol, as you know, is really our number one, the world's number one woman squash player with an incredible 112 months,
Yeah, man.
right? At the top, at number one. And now she's retired, if you can call it retired, but she's still doing all sorts of amazing things. So welcome, Nicol. Thank you so much for doing this with us today. It's 9 p.m. your time, right? Something like that?
Yes.
Yeah, it's at
it's
night.
Perfect.
You've had dinner. We've just had breakfast. So
Good timing.
Yes, perfect timing. Luckily, I'm glad you're not in some awkward place where it's 3 a.m. for you or something like that. So
No, exactly. Thanks so much.
Yeah. And Yuna, this is what this is Yuna is, everyone knows she's become a big star, and also traveled far off to the US, and yet she's home right now, stuck. Lucky us. Thank you. I think we have to be grateful to COVID for something. So we get Yuna home, even if we don't get Nicol home. But we get to connect this way. I don't have to go through Yuna's amazing bio. You all know, you've all listened to her. She's been featured on American talk shows. She's toured the US and Europe, and sometimes us too. Last album was Rouge, right? Yeah, like your lipstick. And what else? Oh, you've sung with Usher. Is it Usher or Usher? I'm always saying Usher.
Usher.
Oh,
Correct.
okay, Usher. Like the Usher, in events. And been produced by people like Pharrell and all that. Like all these people that we only read about, and she gets to actually meet them. So welcome to Hello Zafigo, Yuna.
Thank you so much for having me. No, thank you so much.
No, our
Thanks so much.
Our real pleasure. Oh well, this is meant to be a casual conversation, and so no formal presentations, nothing today. We're just gonna chit chat, and I'm going to start off. Nicol, I'm going to tell this story. Nicol, the other day when we were chatting, you said you never met Yuna, right?
Yeah.
But when we were chatting with Yuna, she says, actually, you have met before. But yes, at SUMA.
We met at
Sukma, no way.
Yeah, a long time ago.
What year was that?
Ago.
Like,
because you're both athletes.
I was
she's
13.
also an athlete.
Oh, no way.
Well, not like you.
No, but you were competing.
It was I was still in secondary school. I was 16 and I was representing I think it was 2000 and I want to say 2002. 2000 2002.
Yeah, the later ones because I played like the earlier part.
Yeah.
I played in 94, 96.
Yeah.
So that was when I was a little bit older considering. Oh wow.
But yeah, no, I mean like this was 2002, but I was still like so young, like but
yeah.
I can't even remember where it was. But it
so
was
what were you playing?
Opening ceremony. I was representing Perlis in 10-pin bowling.
10
no way. Oh, well done.
Thank you. But yeah, but
cool.
it's nice to like finally like see you and talk to you. We've never met each other.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Nicole, I met you.
Good to know.
I met you at the Olympic torch run, right?
Yes, that was my first time.
That was what year was
the
that?
Beijing
That was
one.
2008. Yeah, when they had the torch run in KL. And so we all were so-called running, very slow running for.
I know they tell us to like run slowly so that the camera actually follows.
Can follow, for 100 meters, and then we got on this bus, and I found myself sitting next to Nicol. So that's how I met Nicol David on the bus.
I know it was one of my I have so much respect for you, Marina, and when I had the chance to actually sit next to you and realize that I was actually receiving the flame from you, I was like, wow, this is another huge honor. And being in Malaysia running the torch run for the Olympics, and squash is not an Olympic sport, so it was truly a special moment. So it was nice. On the bus meeting you for the first time.
Right.
It was great.
So you were campaigning for squash to be made an Olympic sport, right? Are you still doing that?
Right now, we've already missed out on the Tokyo Olympics. So at the moment, they will have to build up, and we also missed out in Paris. So at the moment, they're probably having to work towards 2028, which is a campaign that is a long time coming. So it'll be a bit difficult. It'll be a little difficult because at the moment the Olympic Committee, the International Olympic Committee, is actually focusing on different things. So working on commercial value, how to get some returns for them, and also targeting like the youth. So break dancing is in, wall climbing, surfing.
Break dancing.
Yeah. So those sports are coming in because it's really known to the younger generation, and they want to create that hype for the youth to get involved with the Olympics. And squash will get there, but it will take some time. So we are not focusing too much on getting into the games. We're just focusing on developing our sport and growing it in the way it should. So,
Right. So we've gotten into the conversation already, but as you know, Zafigo is a travel website for women. So I just let's just start off with both of you, and I'll put this to both of you, and you can take turns answering. And both of you really took that leap to leave home, leave the comforts of home and family to go far away. Nicol to Amsterdam, wasn't it? Or somewhere? Yeah, Amsterdam.
Yes,
and
Amsterdam.
Yuna to the States to make your name and to really gain that experience. What did it feel like? I mean, how did you make that decision? Like, okay, I gotta go, or else, things are not going to happen. Either one of you can.
Okay, I'll start.
Okay. So you can go.
For me, Marina, I think I I felt like in Malaysia, I was already doing everything that I could have done in the Malaysian music industry. I've competed in AJL, Anugerah Juara Lagu, AIM, and I think that's like, the highest that you could go, and for me it was like, okay, what's next? I have all these English songs that are not going anywhere, and not going anywhere, I do have fans who would listen to my music, but not at the level, back then we didn't have Spotify, we didn't have like all these like music streaming services. So it was very important for me to, like, okay, let's see what my options are outside of Malaysia. And one day I just got like an offer to record in Los Angeles. So, like I didn't really think too long. I was just like, okay, I'll go. But of course, yeah, I know. But of course, like not just being like very naive and, some American dude is reaching out to me. Okay, I'll go. Of course, like I had to like check him out. And, instead of me flying to LA, I told him, you know what, if you want to sign me, you come out to Malaysia. So this guy, my manager, Ben, who is still my manager today, like for 10 years now, he's never been to Asia at all. So he flew all the way to KL, and I remember picking him up and taking him to all these places in KL, and then really showed him what I was all about before I moved to LA. So I think for me it was important to just try, because a lot of people told me that, oh, this is crazy, you cannot be an international singer, that's what they said, like you no one's gonna listen to you. Like these were the words that was like a music executive told me this, like, oh, Yuna, like maybe don't put English music in the album, because no one in Malaysia is going to listen to it, like no one's going to listen to a Malaysian artist singing English songs. So I was like, are you sure?
Like we've had people, before.
Yeah. Are you sure? But this was like, when I was having a meeting with them, like because they wanted to sign me for my Malay music, and I said, I have English music as well, can I also include my English songs in this album? And they're like, yeah, maybe just write fully Malay album, so I was like, okay, well, I'm not gonna sign with you guys, I'm just gonna do my own thing and start my own company, start my own record label. So that was like my dream, my aim at the back of my head. I always felt like, I think I'm good enough. I think I can try this. I think I can really build a fan base like somewhere else and see what happens. Yeah, that's how I felt about it.
Yeah. Right. I remember watching you. You came to perform at one of our 3R events. I remember it was, I'm not sure what it was. It was kind of outdoor, and I think you were just starting, and that was the first time I heard you, and I thought, this girl's got everything, everything.
Thank you.
But I can't remember what year that was, but that must have been just when you were about to go big. So that's a good lesson. If they're really keen on you, get them to prove it by getting on a plane and coming to see you. But you were not. I mean, you sounded pretty confident. You sound that you were pretty confident at the time that you did have something to offer, and so you weren't nervous. What did your parents think?
They were the ones who were really into the idea. I think like when I got the email from them, from my manager, they were really mad at me for not replying. They were like, why is this guy trying to reach out to you on Facebook? Mama dah reply dah dia, so my mom reached out to him and like, hey, talk to my daughter, this and this and this. And then I had no choice but to just like, okay, fine, let's talk to him. But not because I was like, not really like I was very careful, and at the same time, a lot of things were happening for me in Malaysia. You know, I had AJL, and I was working with a lot of brands that year. So it was, you know, okay lah, nanti lah, you know, let's wait first. So, but yeah, but my parents were really supportive about me.
Yeah, no, that's terrific to have supportive parents, because you know, most parents, a lot of parents, like,
Yeah.
worry about stability,
Mhm.
in the future for their kids. So for them to let you do this, that's really unusual, I think,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, but
amazing.
I think also at the time, you know, the music thing was going really well for me, and I already, you know, finished my legal studies, so I graduated. So, you know, like music was full time for me, you know. By that time, it was like my third year already, like doing music. So
Right.
yeah, so they were like, oh, you have to do this, you know, like not everyone can do what you can do, because I was thinking of maybe, okay, maybe I'll pursue the honors program now, you know, like maybe I'll just be a lawyer. I told my dad, and then my dad was like, what? No, don't do that.
Wow, that's really great.
Yeah, so they were really supportive. They really liked the fact that I was making music, and yeah, so I was very lucky. Mhm.
Great. And you, Nicole, you were winning everything here, and so how was that decision made? To go off, to Europe to train. Was there someone asking you to come, or you decided that that's like Yuna, like I got to go to another level? And
yeah, it was exactly that. I went professional after SPM, and I went out. I won World Juniors. I had and after that, it gave me an idea that, oh, maybe I could become a world champion in the seniors, and that was my goal. But I actually approached my parents and I bargained with them a little bit, like, okay, if I try 1 year of professional, and if I do well, maybe I will carry on playing professionally. But if I don't, then I'll go and study in uni. And they were like, okay, yeah, you can go ahead and play 1 year. And then after a year, I went up to the top 16 in the world. And I told my parents, okay, now I want to move to Amsterdam to work with the best, to be the best, because in the scene, a lot of the top players are already on another level, and I was still like a junior level, and I needed to really change my game to break through. So from then on, I told my parents I would have to move to Amsterdam to work with my coach, who was really experienced. Her name is Liz Irving, and she's former world champion, top in squash for a long time. So I told them that I was moving, and they were taken aback a little bit, but they knew that was I really was determined to fulfill my dream. So they gave me their blessings, and they let me go when I was 18. I moved to Amsterdam, and I was there for 16 years with my coach, and I never looked back. And that was the best decision I made when I moved to Amsterdam, because she basically changed my game completely. So I had to change my technique from zero to start again, rebuilding my movement, the mental tactics as well, how to play the game with the top pros, and how to apply different tactics at different times, and also just being stronger, fitter, to match up with the top girls. So that was the best move I ever made for my career, and I had the best time training with Liz, and then I just kicked off from there. So yeah.
Wow. And your parents obviously are very supportive and all that. But to be a professional squash player, I mean, I don't think we understand what a professional squash player is. Do you have to, I mean, how do you survive? Do you have to keep winning tournaments, or what? I mean, how is it professional as opposed to an amateur? Is there a certain way of
doing? No, it's like the tennis tour. So basically, you get points. So every round you go through, you get certain points, and the further you go, the more points you get, and then that will determine how high in the rankings you are to help you in future tournaments when you compete. So the more, obviously, the better you do in the rounds, that determines probably your ranking. So if I maybe get to the finals all the time, you'll probably be number 1 or 2 in the world. So that was the aim, to be as consistent as possible, to train hard and try to get as far as possible in the tournament and win as many matches. I mean, I hate losing, so obviously that was all I was aiming for. And I worked really hard. I think the first few years working in Amsterdam was the toughest, because I had to start from scratch and build again.
Yeah, and adapt to
and
life
also
in
then
a new
with
country.
also being a professional, you in the certain levels you get also prize money, and that's how you make money as you go on. But I was also supported by the Sports Council of Malaysia and the ministry to train in Amsterdam, to play for Malaysia, and that all helped in my progress and achieving what I've achieved, because I got all the expertise from Malaysia to give me that funds and to build my team to be a full complete player.
Right. And your team would be your coach, and who else? Who do you have in your team?
My coach, my physical trainer, my sports psychologist, my physiotherapist, the nutritionist now and then. And pretty much that. And it's all very specific. They all have their own roles, and we work towards small details, just improving those small details and get better every time.
Right. So that's kind of like you now also, because you also have your team, right? Your musicians and managers and everything, right? When you so both of you have something similar, that you have your teams and you go on tour. You go all these musical tours, like concert tours, and Nicol goes from tournament to tournament. What is that like, going on tour? I mean, most of us, tour means going on holiday, going to see tourist sites, and then that's it. But
you all are actually like that.
Is it?
Similar.
But you're working, and you have to be
more than playing.
But I mean, tell us. We always, when we look at all these big pop stars and their tours and their things like that, and the demands for things in the dressing room, etc. But what is that like, going from place to place, over a long period of time?
Wow. Well, I mean, the first time I went on tour was actually, I wouldn't say like super tough, because I actually had a lot of fun. It was a small tour. It was a small team. Like, I started out with tour manager, sound engineer, and both of them were Malaysians. I flew them out to LA. Didi is watching. Hi, Deeds. Didi was tour managing, and she's really good at it. So after that, I kept hiring her back to do my tours, and then and another musician who traveled with us. So this was my first tour, and it was I feel like that was the longest I've been on the road, like maybe a month and a half. But it was really tiring, because we would be in the van, so it's not bus. Like, a lot of people think that I tour on a bus. Touring bus costs like 150,000 USD. So I'm not gonna go down that route. Just like, let's just get on a tour bus. So we had a van, like kind of like a Sprinter van. So it's a little bit bigger, a little bit comfortable. And we would drive into a city. We would, what do you call it? Load in into the venue, like maybe at like we'll arrive there like 3 p.m. and then we'll load in and then we take a break, sekejap, like we eat, and then we get into sound check. And sound check, I get ready backstage, and then I go on stage to perform like 9 to 10, and then maybe a little meet and greet, which will last like for another hour. And then either we go back into the van and travel to the next city, or we stay the night. And then the next morning, like 6 a.m., we would drive, because US is so big. So we would have to allocate like maybe 6 hour to get to the next city. So every day it's like that. It's like travel
for a month. Wow.
For a month, yeah. So once every maybe like 4 days we'll get a break. So like the day you get that break point, it's like not even like a real break, it's like a drive break. So it's like you're driving for 12 hours and then you get
and then crashing
and then wake up the next morning and then driving for another 6 hours to the next show. So at this point I got used to it. It's a lot of fun if you have like a great team with you. So that's why I think from the very beginning, like it was my first time. I just really needed to focus on like my health, my stamina, like, okay, how do I perform this like every night? I wasn't always like a singer. Like I was a singer, but not like a touring artist. So I needed to get used to that. And then the next tours, I think like, for me, it was more important. Okay, now that I know that I got this, like I can do this. Now I need to assemble a team that I really like, that I can work with every time I go on tour. So the musicians have to be professional. The tour manager, I have to like them, like they cannot like do things that, because you're spending so much time with these people. So I can't, I can't like micromanage everything. But I guess like the beauty of being a Malaysian, you're just pretty much like you adapt to things like very easily, like you don't complain too much. Like you're just like, okay, fine, whatever. Like I'll sit here, I'll sit there. I'm not like a diva who's just like, oh no, I won't get into this hotel room, whatever, So it was pretty easy for me because I enjoyed touring. And but yeah, it's definitely like a new experience when I started touring, so different from becoming an artist in Malaysia. Like, Nicole, you said it before, like when you moved to Amsterdam, everything was just like from scratch, so it was pretty much the same thing for me. Like everything that I learned in Malaysia, like some of them I still, would bring it with me. But in the US, it's just like, oh, this is how you do like album cycle.
Yeah.
Okay, put out an album and then promo and then tour, So it's I can finally see it as like a real job for me, like I can finally see like, oh, being an artist is like, oh, this is what you have to do. Like, you have to work very hard. So yeah.
Oh, terrific. And Nicole, you go from tournament to tournament and you are physically, playing, which is hard. How do you, when is it as well managed as Yuna's tour? And how do you feel like, how much time do you get to rest between each round even,
Yeah, so a tournament goes between 5 to 6 days in a row. So if you win each round, usually you have to play the next day. But there are some tournaments that you have a day break and then you play the following day. But I have a plan usually for the year where I'll play about 10 tournaments in a year. So I spread it out. I don't go crazy playing like 5 tournaments in a row. I just pick 2 tournaments back to back, so I can just travel from one tournament to the other, and then I have a break of maybe 3 weeks to train, recover from those 2 tournaments, and then train, build up again, and then travel to the next tournament. It all depends on the season. So our season goes from August to May, and then we'll have a good 2 months in between to really have a break, to then build a good training block, so you have a different routine for your training. So So that's pretty much the year. You plan ahead, and then you use each tournament to actually get stronger. So I use tournaments to actually get myself peaking to like the big events. So
Right.
so that's what you train for. And in between tournaments, usually they give you like a week max.
A week for holiday.
If it's back-to-back tournaments, usually it's like like you can go from a week to then sometimes even 3 weeks. So that's pretty much the breaks in between we have. But overall, I have my team that prepares me every after my matches before, so I get recovery with my physio. So I get a good rest the next day. Fresh. I eat well, get another routine training in, and then I start playing my match again in the evening or in the afternoon, and then I get recovery. So it's like that cycle. And after that tournament, I'll have a few days break, and then maybe I'll go to the next one again.
Right. So it's very clear. I think if you ever want to make it big, whatever field you're in, it's a matter of really hard work and discipline and really, being on top of the game all the time, right? If you slack, I think that's a great lesson for everyone. If you want to achieve anything, I'm trying to write better, so I have to discipline and work hard on that. So I'm going to open this up to the audience for questions, which I hope they'll put in the chat room, and then I will read it out to whoever. If you want to direct it to Yuna or to Nicol, I will read it out. So far, I haven't seen any yet. Everyone just loves you both and just happy to hear you talk. Yes, okay. From Melissa Aher, any tips for when you miss Malaysian food in, say, The Hague? Do you miss Malaysian food when you go on tour? And, Malaysian food is not the healthiest, Nicol. I don't know how you would balance. I did catch you once eating banana leaf in Bangsar one time. I was so shocked.
Yes.
I was so shocked. I thought Nicol David takes banana leaf, so it's okay for me because I don't burn it off like you do.
No, but I mean, but that's the reason why I went to Amsterdam, to stay clear from the Malaysian food. If not, I'll be indulging all day. But no, I do have my moments when I'm abroad that I miss Malaysian food, but I have some Asian food. So I have a lot of Thai food. I have like 3 Asian meals in the week. And pretty much that keeps me going when I'm away. And there's one restaurant in Amsterdam that I go to that is a Malaysian restaurant. It's called Nyonya, and I go there when I really feel like I need like my roti and my teh tarik, and I'm happy. Gives me those simple pleasures make me happy.
Yeah, the roti canai really does it for you. I think like you get roti canai and then you're good for the next like few weeks.
For a while,
For a while, you're just like, okay, I got my roti canai fix. Yeah.
It does the trick. Stays in that stomach for a while.
So there's a question for both of you. Thanks for sharing your experiences. It's from Liani MK. What did you find most challenging in each of your journeys, and how did you overcome them? Both of them. Yuna, do you want to take that?
The most challenging, let's see. Definitely for me, is just finding like being an artist in such a huge music industry, especially like Hollywood, like the American music industry. There's a lot of like competition. So I think for me it would be finding my voice, like my brand, what is my brand, which was actually after a while it got pretty easy because it's a no-brainer. I'm a Malaysian Muslim, Southeast Asian girl who makes music. So that was like, of course, my brand. But I think like sonically, I had to like kind of just like try out different like genres and see which one like fits me, or like which one I would fit into this like category better. Do I sound better doing this type of music, that type of music? And also like being away from your country, because I grew up my whole life in Malaysia, kan? So trying to be in LA and like, okay, like adapt to the lifestyle, which is not really mine. For example, like a lot of people would go to parties and stuff like that. I don't go out to parties, like I would go to events and then be like, okay, like 10:30 p.m. I'll be like, peace out, So a lot of artists would just like stay on and like socialize. So I think like stuff like that I was really like struggling with. Like I didn't go out that much, I didn't have a lot of friends. But that changed, I think after like 4 years in LA. Like the first 4 years I just focused on just like sitting in the studio, writing and recording and touring, done. So just working. I think after my 4th year I decided, you know what, let's just make this like my real base. Let's make LA my second home, regardless, like whatever. Because sometimes you feel like kind of like guilty of it. You think about like what people would say, like, oh, Yuna, like forgot her roots or stuff like that. So you're just like, okay, well, this is not my base. But you just have to like really be confident and own it. So I think as I grew a little bit older, and the longer I stay in LA, I decided, you know what, I'm gonna have my own apartment, make that my base, and this is my life now, my work, and really knowing that yes, I deserve this, and I deserve to like work here and grow as an artist. So after that, like it got better for me. Like I was able to have friends and get a car, started driving, and made LA my city. And it's not that like I completely forget about Malaysia or KL. KL is still my city, but like LA is something else. Like it's really just a place where like I enjoy working and being creative. So whenever people tell me that, oh, I'm coming to LA, I'll be like, oh, welcome to LA, like welcome to my city. So I think that's the biggest challenge that I had to like overcome, to just feel like, yes, I deserve this, like this is mine. I work very hard for this. And I think, but I guess like it's as an artist, it's a little bit different, because you are in a world where everything you do, people will talk about you. Every move you make, you're just like, oh, why is she doing that? Why is she this and that? So I think that was my biggest challenge, to kind of just like, okay, well, I know myself, and let's just do this. Let's just do my work properly, So yeah.
Right. That's it. Right. Oh, that's terrific. You have to make a home for where you are, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Nicol, what was your biggest challenge?
Well, my biggest challenge was actually after working so hard, being in Amsterdam, and I finally get my break of being world number one for the very first time and being world champion at 22. Then I just went like, now what? What do I do next after fulfilling my dream, my goals? And that was a tough time, because I was quite lost in knowing nobody tells you how to become a world number one, and they don't actually say, oh, do this or do that. So you have to figure it out yourself. So I lost most of my squash matches after being number one, and I was expecting myself to be this way. I was putting a lot of pressure on myself, thinking, oh, people expect me to be this way. But I learned through that moment. It was tough, but I came out knowing and learning that I have to just work harder, basically, to be at the top of your game. You have to work even harder every single day. And so that's when I fully got more serious in my training. My coach actually reviewed my goals and we just focus on each year. Okay, if we can do this and this and this, and to get to peak in the World Championships, that's our goal. So every year was that, and I didn't stop learning. I didn't stop growing, and I knew every year I had to work even harder, and then the next tournament even harder. So that was the biggest challenge, to not just be there, but to understand what it takes to be world number one. And it's nice as it sounds, but it's not the easiest position. But I fully enjoyed the experience. Even going from that moment to just building myself up to get it year by year, learning new things and just improving every small bit in the process. So yeah.
Well, you did that very well. 112 months at number one, and even Roger Federer had to acknowledge that, right? That was the ultimate.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
So here's another question from Charlie Harun. How can other Malaysians break onto the global stage in whatever field? Work hard, yes, but is there a secret? What is your X factor? Malaysians always want to know, what is the secret ingredient? Is there something you take? So what do you think? I mean, is there a secret X factor that puts you above the rest?
I'll go first. It's very, for me, it's like simple. It's confidence. I think like a lot of us don't really embody that confidence, like going out, and do things, because even for myself, for me, everyone around me told me that I couldn't do it, so like everyone around me was just like, alah, tak payah lah. We have that, like kind of just like, alah, tak payah lah, like susah-susah aja, and for me, it's like, no, I have to try lah. I have to do it. So we lack that enthusiasm sometimes, like and confidence. I think bila you keep hearing that, you just feel like, okay, maybe I should just stay in Malaysia and just be okay with whatever that I have now, like bersyukur lah with what I have now, but I think that's it. Like you just have to be really confident and really imagine yourself doing it, and just be like, I think I can do this, and just go for it and give it your 110% lah. Not like, like don't be like, okay, I need a day off. There's no, like literally there's no day off. I mean, like look at Nicol David, like you go for training, and I can imagine, because I trained when I was in Sukma. I trained like a little bit, and I cannot imagine like training every day, like for long hours. So
you're doing that with your singing, so it's the same.
Yeah, well,
you have to train.
Exactly, but I think that's it. Like work hard, yes. The X factor is, I think, just really like believing that you can do it. I think that's the tricky one. That Oh, hi.
Hello. Vienna wants to say hi.
Gosh. What's his name? Her name?
Vienna.
Oh, wow.
She loves live chat. So she hears like some of me talking to the screen. She comes in and goes,
my goodness, that's a real fur ball, isn't it?
I know.
So cute.
Okay, there are lots of questions coming in. I'm going to try and see if I can group similar questions. I mean, there's one about difficult moment, but I think you've already, answered that with challenges. Yuna, what's your advice for aspiring young singers? How should they start their career in singing? Just do it, like Nike.
Really, just do it. Because sometimes you might have something already that you want to do, but you just hold it off, like, okay lah, nanti lah, tomorrow. So don't wait for tomorrow. Like tomorrow is not promised to you. You just have to start now, and then just keep on making music. And if you don't know how, there are a lot of ways to learn. Watch all these tutorials on YouTube and take online classes. And I think, just that's the start for me. Would be the best way to do it is to start locally, build your fan base locally, and don't skip that. I think, like, for me, if you skip, you're just trying to like shoot for, I'm just gonna go to Hollywood and make music there, like you'll miss out so much, like the how to connect with your fans, like how to, like grow as an artist, create your brand, and really understand what you are, like in the creative world, like creatively, like what's your creative direction. Yeah, start locally, understand your fan base, and then later on, like when you're ready to take on the world, and that's when you think of like the next step, like have that at the back of your mind, like, okay, I really want to release music, like English music, that everyone can listen to it, like the whole world can listen to it. You can actually do that already from home, but um try and create that fan base, like the local fan base first, and give give them your music, and then later on, like you can try and like look, wherever you want to go to Japan and make music, you want to go to Korea, you want to go to the UK maybe. So yeah, I think, and don't stop, just keep trying, and yeah. Mm-hmm.
Great. Okay, here's a question from Nadia Wafa, who I know is also a Malaysian athlete, to Nicol. And maybe this will also, I think there's some similar question also for Yuna. Like, how do you deal with negativity, really? How do you deal with people's comments like, why didn't you hire a local coach instead? Or, I mean, there's a lot of negativity. And I know, Yuna, you've had to deal with a lot of naysayers and things like that. So how do you deal with comments like those, both of you? Or Nicol, maybe you want to go first.
Yeah.
For me, I think it's just gonna happen. Everybody would want to see like maybe someone local or someone that they expect to be seen as a coach, but it's up to the person themselves whether they what clicks. And when I moved to Amsterdam, straight away my coach just clicked with me, and I understood what she was trying to share, how she explained the game, and how she opened my eyes to a different perspective. It's about experience and how they can give that and mold you to become a better player. Some coaches may not actually know how to do that, but you have to have that connection straight away with the coach. And if you click, you just have to stick with that and progress. And even my coach said that if at some point you don't feel like you're not progressing, then I'll help you to look for someone else, or look around, and because I don't want to stifle you. And that's her being open to different ways of like building me, and not and I said, look, she opened me to meet different coaches in Australia, in Egypt, and so I tried all different styles as well, because she was open to me building and learning as much as possible. So I think comments like that will always come, and it's up to us to just decide what we want and what works for us best. Nobody else knows better than ourselves.
Right.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
and Yuna, I mean, maybe, but both for you, because this is question also, like, is there a difference between the boys tour and the girls tour? And in Yuna, being female in this field and being male, have you experienced, everyone's talking about it now, racism, sexism, and all that? And how have you dealt with this?
I kind of like, if I encounter anything like racism, I know it's there. It's important to be aware of these things, but I don't let it affect my work. So, sometimes like I'll go on stage and then just randomly, and all these venues in the US, it's true, they have bars, they have people drinking, but you just go there and do your work. But then people will be like, calling out names and stuff, but you just, okay, you see it, you hear it, but you just carry on, and I think that's like very important. You must not let that affect your life and your work. You just have to keep on going. And with sexism, I think as a young, obviously, artist, you will encounter like men in suits like telling you what to do, like they're just like, oh, you're just a young girl, you don't know anything. And I've gone to meetings where the label executive would just tell me to take off my scarf, like, oh yeah, we if you want to be a singer, just you have to take off your scarf, you have to do this, you have to do that, we have to change you, we have to like you have to hire the songwriter, and completely change the person that I want to be, what I envision myself like to be in the future. So you just have to stand your ground and say no. Like, I think that's the most important thing. You can just say no.
Yeah.
Like, and a lot of people feel, a lot of girls, especially young girls, like they feel like, I have to do this, like if I don't do this, like I cannot move forward. If I don't do this, you just have to say no. It's okay. Like, your opportunity will come, not that way, and you hear all these like sexual harassment like cases and stuff like that, which is, it happens, and we have to fight it, because, and we also have, for me, I have to educate the younger girls to just, this is not the way. How I do it, how I did it, it didn't involve that. Like, if it came to that little bit and you can kind of just like feel it happening, I just like remove myself from the situation, and it's okay if I don't get that opportunity. It's okay, I don't need it, so it's important for me to like educate girls about what can happen and how you can avoid it, so how you can just continue making your art and protecting yourself and be successful as a woman, in the music industry. So yeah, I think I hope that answers the question. I forgot what the question was.
Very brave.
Yeah, no, it's great. You're so articulate. It's great. Nicol, is there a big difference, Nicol, between the women's tour and the men's tour, and prize money, for instance, among other things? Do you get enough attention?
Sorry. In the beginning, we were actually two separate bodies. So the men's association and the women's association. And when I started, there was a very big difference in terms of the prize money, and also the way like promoters would promote more men's events and may not want to take some women's events, or maybe have women's events as a like side show. Like have maybe 4 players to just have a exhibition event. So I've seen that and I've grown with it. But when I was at number 1, I had a responsibility to make a point that we deserve to be in a tournaments like these, not just as a side show, but as a main show next to the men. And so like a particular promoter in New York once asked me to go and do these events. And I said, no, unless you have a big event, I will come and play in this tournament. And it was in Grand Central Station, this nice glass court right there in Grand Central, and it's gorgeous. And everybody wants to play that tournament. So I've been wanting to play it. But after 3 years, he's been asking me. The 3rd year, I told him, would you be willing to make a big event? And he said, yeah, I will. And he did. And we had a women's and men's event side by side, and the glass court, and everybody just enjoyed the women's game. Then we started 2 years later, we had equal prize money, and from then on, the US tour is now pushing all tournaments to be equal prize money, and all the big ones. And also now we have about 10 major events around the world that have like par, and also we are one body now. The men's and the women's tour are under one professional body. So we are all pushing. Then, like at the end, the sport knew that we have to grow as a whole. We can't do it in 2 ways. So that was a real, like for me, was a very exciting moment to see how it is growing, and it's still growing. It still has a bit of space to get to where the man is, but we are going side by side to try and build it as much as possible. But the smaller tournaments will gain as much exposure the best way possible.
Right. We have a lot of questions, so we can go over time a little bit. Right. But although I understand, Yuna, you have to leave by certain time because you have another thing to do. Is that right? So,
but it's okay. We're still good. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about time.
Okay.
I'm just like listening to Nicol talking like, no, don't cut it short. Let's keep going.
No.
Okay. Yeah. Let's see. Some of them are just comments on your responses, which are so good. So, okay, role models. Did you have role models, both of you, when you were starting out? Who did you aspire to be?
Jennifer Lopez. Just kidding.
Really? Wow.
I think every woman wants to aspire to be J-Lo.
No, just kidding. I mean, of course. I think being Malaysian, it's like, you keep on looking at like Hollywood artists, and you're just like, okay, who looks like me? Who has the same skin tone? And it was Jennifer Lopez. For me, it was Jennifer Lopez. So I would like kind of like look up to her, just like, I want to be just like her, singing and dancing. And I would watch like her concerts on TV, on like VCD at the time, so well, I think what really kind of just like triggered me to do music was, there's this singer-songwriter, her name is Feist, and she's this amazing Canadian singer-songwriter, and I saw a video of her performing in Paris. She has an electric guitar with her, and she just started singing a certain way, a very different way. It wasn't like Mariah Carey or Whitney Houston, like it wasn't like what do you call it, like a powerhouse, like vocals, and she was just singing her lyrics like as if she's talking to someone. So I think that was like, like I don't have to like sing like everyone else. I just have to find my own way of singing. I think Feist was the girl that I would like, she was like my reference, like musically, and how I wanted to sound like in my records, in my album, and on stage as well. And playing the guitar, I think she made that possible for me to just like, I'm just gonna like sit for a few hours and like work on my guitar playing skills, so it was Feist. But as I grow older, I think it was really difficult for me to have like an icon to like, I want to be just like her, because no one was doing what I was doing. I very, I'm what I'm doing is very different. Like of course, like being a Muslim Malaysian singer-songwriter, it's like I can't really, like gauge like, oh, she's like me. So now I just have to be the person that I always wanted to like look up to, like the 10-year-old Yuna can just look at Yuna now and just be like, oh, I want to be like her. And representation is everything, like especially in the music business. It's like everyone looks the same, and like people can't relate to like like girls who look a certain way, but I think I can definitely inspire girls who are just like me, and especially also like in the US, like women of color can just relate to me and see also a little bit of themselves like in me, so I see that as an importance, like why I have to do this. And but it all started with J-Lo.
And who do you listen to now? Who do you listen to nowadays?
Who do I listen to nowadays? Let's see. I still listen to the same artists that I would listen to when I was younger, like Lauryn Hill. I listened to Aaliyah, a lot of like R&B singers, TLC, Usher, Alicia
Keys.
All my
favorite.
Yeah.
All my favorite. That's my playlist of like.
Also.
Literally exactly right. Like Aaliyah.
Yeah. But also, you know, like the younger artists as well. Like there's Daniel Caesar, there's her. And who else? Like Snow Allegra. And also I now that I'm home in Malaysia, I'm discovering music from local artists who are like young, and it's insane. It's so good. So I'm just like really proud. Like in the last week, I think I discovered this rapper. He does like Malay trap, and his name is Kuai. Wow. And he's like 20, 21, and he's so talented. He produces his own music, he writes his own song, and he has like friends, and he would tell me, you know, I reach out to him saying like, oh, you're so talented, like where did you learn how to do all this? And he's like, from kawan-kawan lah, you know, from my friends. And who are your friends? And then he showed me he has like a rapper collective, like hip-hop collective. I'm like, and they're all so good too. So I'm really proud that Malaysia has you know, like still like a growing and young music scene. And I love that. I want to be a part of that, you know. So it's a blessing in disguise, kind of being back in Malaysia, and I have time to actually do this and reach out to them and talk to them. It's fun. It's nice.
Fantastic. Oh, wow. You got a great shout out from Yuna. Must have knocked his socks off, you know. You're welcome to read the questions yourself and see what you want to answer too, because there's so many. And I'm trying to... Nicole, did you have a role model? And there's also a question about what it takes for squash to be accepted by the OIC. I know you said it won't happen until 2028. But
maybe it won't.
But you know, why are they reluctant? I think that's the real question.
To be honest, I don't know. We've tried everything. We've done the campaigns. We've made a very strong case. It's just that they don't want us, and I think we have to accept that fact, because they have different priorities, and we have to keep working on our sport, on our game that is growing globally, is getting a lot of attention, and it's just a true sport. And if it doesn't get into the game, it's disappointing, but we can't stop growing. I think that's the key. We can't fit into a criteria that the Olympic Committee has put together that always keeps changing. So we just have to keep doing what we do best. And going back to the role models, I growing up, I watched a lot of sports, so I always had like sprinters like Michael Johnson. I watched basketball a lot, so Michael Jordan, obviously. All these sports icons that I grew up watching, tennis players. I mean, Roger Federer. They had something special, and what they brought to the plate really stands out. And you try to pick the best of each athlete and make it your own. So you don't become like them, but you want to grab what really makes them the way they are, how their mannerism, or how they feel out there, and try to do that for yourself and make your own feel when you're training, when you're competing, and be your own person. Like Yuna saying, like you have to find what works for you, but you have to try it out yourself. You can't just expect it to just happen. You have to try all different things, and that's what I did. And I love sports, so watching these top professional athletes present themselves, and how they speak, everything that comes through in their tone of voice.
Right. I find it interesting that all your role models are men, though. There no women athletes?
I also had women. Yeah, my squash role models were actually my coach, like Liz Irving, Sarah Fitzgerald. She was the world champion in squash. So when I was growing up, I also was thinking, like, I had a vision of like me walking in the squash court, walking like Sarah Fitzgerald, so that's also like me, like when growing up, and you have to have a vision of how you may look like. And when I was 11 years old, I had that vision of how she is on court. So that was my female role models for sure. And my sisters, of course, I wanted to beat them growing up.
They're older than you, are they? Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Terrific.
I got 2 older sisters. Yeah.
I met Billie Jean King one time, and she was just terrific, for what she's done for women's tennis and everything. One question from Sabrina Sulaiman to Nicol, Kak Nicol. So must be, how do you manage your studies while being number one? I remember when I think it was your SPM results came out. It was like, wow, so many A's, and she plays squash at the same time. How did you manage to balance that? I guess, it's about how do you balance your life?
Actually, squash gave me that discipline to time manage and study well. So having that, my mind was active and I could actually absorb better when I study. I had moments where I needed to study, train for my tournaments. I will train for it, but then I also have time when there's exams. I'll have time off to study for it and get prepared for it. And I also had good friends that kept notes for me, my teachers that were helping me after school, my tuition teachers. So they were all very helpful, and also my parents at home were helping me with my studies, and my sisters as well. So everyone contributed to my studying, but squash really helped me to manage my time better and have the discipline to focus. And if I had this much time, I better pay attention to what I have in front of me and not like wander off. So that made a big difference. If it wasn't for squash, I wouldn't have done as well in my studies, to be honest.
Yeah, that's been that theory, that if you do sports, you can also do well in studies because of the discipline involved. So let's talk about future plans. Has the COVID pandemic, torpedoed any of your future plans, both of you? And what are they? And are you still going to carry on? And how do you mean to carry on with them? You have a foundation, Nicol, I understand.
Well, I'm in the midst of setting up my foundation with my team, and obviously at the moment it's just in the midst of putting it together, and my team is working really hard to culminate all the nitty-gritty things to put it together. And it's for boys and girls to empower them through sport, and also have English as an extra subject, or as Malaysia, the efficiency of English is going down. So this will help give them a little bit more leeway for the future if they have their English proficiency, and at the same time have squash to give them the tools, the values that I've just spoken about, discipline, just also learning how to respect one another, those values that you can come through sport, and just have fun with. And it will reach out to 8-9-year-old kids that will, because that's the age where they can really take all these things in and put it to use when they grow up. So I'm very excited. This is really true to my heart. It will maybe take a bit more time with the COVID-19 happening, but when I'm back in Malaysia, I will be able to do more on-ground work and start moving more next year. For sure.
So you're doing it in Malaysia, and is it all sports or just squash? Is it just squash?
Just squash. Just squash for now. Yeah. So my expertise.
Yes, that's right. Yuna, what are your future plans? Current and future.
Well, before I get to that, I just want to say that's so cool, Nicol. I mean, I love that. Yeah. Because I before I did the music thing, I mean, music has been always like a part of what I do since I was a little kid. But sports, I mean, bowling, like to me, it's a real sport. Okay, like a lot of people are just like. People are just like, bowling is not a real sport, but bowling, I think, that gave me, like, as a kid, that gave me that focus, and I really enjoyed it. And I think if I didn't join like the bowling squad, I wouldn't be, mentally like strong, and like it's a sport. It's like being at competitions and just like not psyching yourself out. If I didn't do that, I wouldn't be the person that I am today. So yes, it's true. Sports like really changes like a person. So anyways, okay, my plans. Yeah. My plan for the future, inshallah, I think now with the pandemic, obviously like spending a lot of time at home trying to be creative is really, it's not easy to be creative and productive when you're kind of just like not knowing what the future is going to look like. I don't know when I'm going to go on tour again. And I just kind of just like let that go. Like, okay, you know what? Never mind. Like, I had a few shows scheduled in April, and that was either cancel or postpone. We don't know yet. But what I can do now, I guess, like, just try and like keep on working on music. But when I'm not feeling creative, my husband and I, we started this online learning platform. It's called Tiny Classes. And just like this, on Zoom, where we teach people, anyone, you can sign up and join our classes. I teach introduction to songwriting, how to make an album, how to go into recording, and later on, I'll teach like about marketing, how to market your music. My husband, he's teaching classes on, how to conceptualize music videos and production. And we have a friend who's a talented director, like how to turn your ideas to a film. That's like one of the things, like I feel like, okay, like I'm not really feeling creative right now. Let's do something to help people out, because sometimes I feel like people think that, oh, we can't ask Yuna any questions. And for me, like I think of it as so differently. Like, no, you can just ask me anything, So we created like a proper platform for it. It's called Tiny. So right now we're doing that, and it's fun. We get to kind of just like talk to people. I have a lot of young Malaysian artists, producers, musicians joining my class. So it's nice.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I think now just doing that and doing other music stuff. But yeah, I don't know, we'll see. We'll see where we will go from here. At this moment, I'm just cruising, seeing like, okay, where is this wave gonna take me here? So yeah.
That's
You're
exciting.
so chill.
No,
You're
so
so
nice
chill.
to hear. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe there are things you can do together, since there's so much that's really in common. Nicol, did you have a second sport when you were coming up?
Bowling. No, just kidding.
Yeah, you know what? And funny thing, in school, the only other club that I joined was the bowling club.
Yes, I knew it.
Well, we did have a very good bowler, Shalim Zulkifli, right? At one point as well. So yeah,
a lot of bowlers. They all are like, they have World Cup titles, world champions. They are, and I've seen them train, and it's tough. Like having to bowl 14 frames, like it's not easy.
Yeah, we think of it as a leisure thing, right? Like, let's go out and bowl. But yeah, the professional ones are
hardcore. I played in school. I played volleyball, basketball, and also I did athletics. But I stuck to squash because I think basketball and volleyball, I couldn't go very far with my height. And athletics, I think I used my speed into my squash, which made a big difference.
Right. Okay, other questions. What's the one thing about your game that you rely on most? Again, that's a Nicol question.
my mental capacity to stay focused, and I trained really hard on that with my sports psychologist to learn how to minimize the pressures of negativity when I go on court. So having different game plans, making sure I have my visualization techniques in place so that all these things are very clear in my mind what I have to do when I go in. And when I go in, I feel like I have to kind of switch on the button and just blank everything out and try to just go in with a sure game plan, 1 point at a time. Easier said than done, but it's about practicing during my training. And I think that was what I continued to build and develop that made me the strongest out there when I'm on the tour. And also my speed. I was very fast. I also was physically very strong, and I used all that I had as tools to push me through. But with my body being physically ready, then my mind is ready to take forth as well.
Right. Yuna, you must also train, right? Because it does take fitness to go on tour and things like that, don't you? Do you have a training regime as well?
No, I don't.
No.
I should though. So okay, everyone who's watching, you need to be healthy and like keep your body fit if you want to pursue anything in life. But I do take dance classes with my choreographer.
Perfect.
So that was nice. like a huge thing for me. Like I love it. Like we do hip hop dance. So it's pretty, it's not too hardcore, but it's fun. So it's something I enjoy doing. And so yeah, I have that. And basically, I think when I go on tour, I obviously rehearse like a few weeks before tour. So just to keep my stamina up and knowing that I will be singing every single night and performing. I think my last tour was the toughest one because I was dancing and also I had choreography in my show. So we also had to dance, so that was like a new thing for me. That was a new challenge that I took up. So I was singing and, doing the choreography as well. And it was fun. But I think once you get into the touring mode, you get used to it. Your body get used to it. And you just do it like every single night and you get better. Your vocals become better. And I do take vocal lessons, vocal training like before. And now, before I never used to do anything like that. But now, like before going into tours, like I would have a few sessions and just make sure that I'm prepared for tour or like for a huge show. So yeah.
Right. So it is physical as well.
Dancing.
Right?
So what I do in Amsterdam is actually part of my condition training. So I have like street dance classes on the Saturdays and it was like freedom of movement, just going into the beats. Like they just throw some good beats and bass, and when you start dancing, it really helps with my squash. Like you just don't think about anything else. You just go and I love dancing, and street dancing and hip hop dancing is my number one.
Yeah. Cool. Coordination, like it helps too.
Exactly.
Like it helps. I don't know, like it did something for me. In the beginning, it was so hard to catch like the what do you call it, the flow of it. And then after a while, it's like training your body to go this way at this beat. And so it's definitely fun, and it keeps your mind like kind of like active as well, being, I guess, like being creative. Yes, you exercise your mind to write songs and things like that, but at the same time, it's kind of like I feel like it makes me become lazy because I keep like repeating the same lyrics, the same songs, the same melodies. So dancing really, like, it helps me to kind of just like, find inspiration as well, like in different places. So
for sure. Nice. How you sing and dance at the same time? I always find it like amazing.
We all wonder about that.
I guess like when there is like a choreography. So this is the thing that a lot of Malaysians don't know, like they just remember Yuna as the girl who plays the guitar, like the 19-year-old Yuna on TV, AJL. But now Yuna is like dancing. Like, what is this? Like you're not
wow.
used to it. But yeah, you get used to it. Like I guess like when there's a choreography involved, like in a section, I just kind of learn how to hang on to my mic as tight as I can and just do the choreography.
Don't let it drop.
Don't let it drop. But alhamdulillah, so far we've been doing it like perfectly. I have to say, like every show that we did, like we didn't mess up. It gives like a different show, which I have to say, like I was very proud of it. Like I didn't think I could do it. I didn't think I could I didn't think I could be J-Lo. But this last tour, I was a little bit like J-Lo,
A bit closer.
A little bit
amazing. Closer. Must be great.
It's fun.
Okay, we're coming almost to the end, and there's still some questions which you can take if you want, but we'd like to conclude this session with asking you about any life lessons that you've had in your experience in all this time in the past 10 years or whatever that you've been in your field. What has life taught you, basically? What do you reckon?
Nicole can go first.
Okay, I'll go first. I will actually, when Yuna started speaking, she just said exactly what I wanted to say to aspiring kids kids or whoever out there. Just try. You have to give yourself a chance to try it out and follow your gut, because you don't realize how strong and powerful that is. And we underestimate the passion that we have can really take us so much further. And opportunities will open up for you if you give yourself a chance to try. And there is going to be maybe failures, there will be tough moments, and you're going to have struggles at those moments of fears of not making it. But your gut really will tell you this is the right thing to do, and how you feel when you're doing it, it feels right, just go for it. And I think that's what Yuna has done, what I have done, and we just have taken ourselves to wherever we want to go with that feeling and then you go with confidence and you stand tall with what you have with you.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Yuna, wow. You want to add? Or
I know she said everything that like I would say as well. But yeah, definitely like follow your gut, and I think the most important thing as well, like listening to yourself rather than other people. Other people may like to think that they can do your job, your role, can play your role better than you, but nobody knows you like how you know yourself. So right. You just have to because everybody's experiences is different. Yeah. Like I grew up, for example, like moving around Malaysia. So I learned how to adapt like in different like communities and with different friends, different schools. And then I grew up, going to, let's say, I went to Italy for a foreign exchange program. Student exchange program, and I went to a place where nobody spoke English, so I had to like be in a different country and for 3 months like learning how to like communicate with them and being okay.
You speak Italian now?
I speak a little bit, but not like I can't remember anything anymore. Like yeah, but like, and I created lifelong friends like in Italy because we grew up together technically, and so my experience is different from everyone else. So for example, when I started doing music in Malaysia, people thought that like she's like us. So I believe that as well. Oh yeah, I'm like other people. I'm like like I'm just a normal girl. I keep saying that to myself, but my experiences it didn't make me like a normal girl. I'm very abnormal, so not abnormal, but I feel like I can use those skills, these experiences that I've had, that was specially like given to me from God, so I had to think that, okay, I have to use that and move forward. And because nobody knows me, nobody knew what I went through before, like what I was working on, like I worked really hard. So I think it's important to not let anybody else tell you what to do, to narrate your story. You have to be the narrator of your story, and that's the most important thing. And if you feel like you can go out there and play tennis, like be the number one tennis player, go for it. Like if you feel like you can go out there and win a Grammy, make music in the US and win a Grammy, go for it. Don't let anybody else tell you that, like, oh, maybe you should do it this way or that way. Just like follow your gut and be confident and trust your instincts, I think. Yeah.
Terrific. And it's amazing that you said you have to tell your own story, because I write, and I just did a writing course, and that's what everyone keeps saying, you're the only person who can tell your own story. And I guess that goes through every field, really, not just writing or whatever. So we are coming right to almost 11:30 now. So there's still questions, but I'm really sorry I can't ask them all. But it's really been terrific having both of you. You're both wonderful, talented, and articulate people. And it's been great listening to both of you. You have so much to say. And I just want to wish both of you well and all the best in whatever you choose to do next. And keep flying the flag for us. We're all so proud of both of you. We really are.
Thank you.
And look forward to seeing you in real life. Because we can't all live online all the time. I do hope that we yes, why not?
Yay.
And then we go and dance it off.
Every
have a dance off.
Yeah. So thank you everyone. Also who's been listening and asking questions. It's really terrific to have you all. So thank you again, Yuna. Thank you again, Nicol. All the best.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for having me. Bye.
Bye.